On a quiet morning in August 1969, the editors of 3 major California newspapers opened their mailboxes to find envelopes that would change American history forever. Inside each one was a chilling handwritten letter from someone calling himself Zodiac. The message wasn't just a confession, it was a taunt, a threat, and a declaration of war against the public. What terrified authorities most wasn't only the brutal murders he described, but the confidence, almost joy, with which he wrote about them. He demanded newspapers publish his encrypted messages, or he would kill again. And the moment the letters went public, fear swept across California like wildfire. People stopped going out at night. Parents refused to let their teenagers drive to lovers' lanes. Police were suddenly fighting a killer who wasn't hiding. He was performing. And from that day forward, America wasn't just dealing with a murderer. It was dealing with a man who understood one thing better than anyone else. Fear spreads faster than bullets. Tonight, we're diving into the mind, the crimes, and the chilling mystery behind one of history's most dangerous ghosts, a killer who might still be alive. Stay to the end. The truth is darker than you think. On December 20th, 1968, 2 teenagers, David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen, drove out to a quiet, rural stretch of Lake Herman Road. It was the kind of peaceful place where young couples felt safe, far from the noise of the city. But that night, something evil was waiting for them. At around 11 p.m., a car pulled up beside theirs. A man stepped out. No warning, no words. Just rapid gunfire tearing through the cold winter air. Betty Lou tried to escape, running into the darkness, but collapsed only a few meters away. David died beside the car. Police were stunned. There was no motive, no robbery, no signs of rage, just execution. For months, the case went nowhere. But this wasn't a one-time murder. It was the opening scene of a nightmare that would only grow more twisted. It wasn't until the letters arrived that investigators realized the horrifying truth. This was the beginning of a killer's game. And the rules were simple. He hunts, he kills, he writes, and with each kill, he grew bolder. On July 4th, 1969, Independence Day, while fireworks lit the sky, another young couple sought a quiet moment by the water at Blue Rock Springs Park. Darlene Farron and Michael Mageau sat in their car, unaware they were being watched. Shortly after midnight, a vehicle approached. The driver left, then returned. This time, he stepped out with a flashlight taped to a gun. He fired multiple times, then casually walked away. But something changed that night. Michael survived. Barely clinging to life, he described the shooter as a stocky man in his late 20s to early 40s. It was the first real witness police had. And then, 40 minutes later, the killer himself called police. Calm, steady, cold. "I want to report a double murder. I also killed those kids last year." The voice was emotionless, almost bored. This was no longer random violence. This was orchestration, planned, deliberate, and theatrical. Zodiac wasn't hunting people. He was building an audience. Zodiac's letters weren't just threats. They came with cryptograms, complex grids of symbols, crosses, circles, and strange shapes. He claimed that solving them would reveal his identity. Newspapers published them, and within hours, every living room in America became a crime lab. One couple, Donald and Betty Harden, spent days analyzing patterns and eventually cracked the first cipher. But the message didn't reveal a name. Instead, it revealed something far more disturbing. "I like killing people because it is so much fun." He wrote about murder as if it were a hobby, something that gave him purpose. The remaining ciphers became part of the legend. Some would take decades to solve. Some remain unsolved even today. Every new code, every new letter wasn't just communication, it was domination. Zodiac controlled the media, the police, and the public. People waited for his next message the way others waited for movie sequels. And that was exactly what he wanted, because for Zodiac, killing wasn't enough. Being seen, being feared, that was the real fuel. On September 27, 1969, the Zodiac Killer changed his pattern completely. Instead of a nighttime ambush from a distance, he confronted his victims in broad daylight. Cecilia Shepard and Brian Hartnell were relaxing at Lake Berryessa when a man approached wearing a bizarre hooded costume with the Zodiac symbol on his chest. He carried a gun and a knife. This wasn't just murder. This was theater. He tied them up, calmly explained he had escaped from prison, then stabbed them repeatedly. Before leaving, he walked to their car and wrote the details of his previous crimes on the door, signing it with his infamous crosshair symbol. Cecilia later died. Brian survived to describe everything in chilling detail. This attack proved something terrifying. Zodiac didn't follow a pattern. He created chaos. He wanted police confused, the public terrified, and his legend growing. And it was working. On October 11th, 1969, Zodiac committed one of his most brazen acts. A taxi driver named Paul Stein was shot in the head in a quiet San Francisco neighborhood. But this time, the killer didn't flee into darkness. He calmly wiped the taxi, cut a piece of the victim's shirt, and walked away, right past police officers who mistakenly thought he was just a random pedestrian. The next letter he sent contained that stolen piece of shirt. Proof. He mocked police, bragged about slipping through their grasp, and threatened to shoot children getting off school buses. For the first time, the nation realized something terrifying. Zodiac wasn't just a killer. He was unpredictable, uncatchable, and everywhere. No one felt safe, and he loved that. Over the years, dozens of suspects emerged. The most infamous was Arthur Lee Allen, a troubled man who seemed perfect on paper. He wore the right clothes, lived in the right area, and even made disturbing comments about killing people. But every time police thought they had him, evidence fell apart. His handwriting didn't match, his fingerprints didn't match, his DNA, what little was available, didn't match. Other suspects came and went. Each one looked promising. Each one collapsed under scrutiny. It was as if Zodiac had chosen victims at random and chosen his public image even more carefully. He controlled how he was seen, how he was remembered, and who investigators chased. He wasn't just ahead of the police. He was shaping the investigation from the shadows. And that's why, decades later, the case still haunts detectives, because every suspect might be innocent, and the real killer might have died quietly, laughing without ever being caught. Today, more than 50 years later, the Zodiac Killer remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in criminal history. New DNA methods, amateur investigators, online detectives, everyone has tried to unmask him. And yet, nothing. But the truth is even darker than the mystery itself. Zodiac didn't need to be caught to win. He won the moment the world started fearing his name. He won every time someone read his letters, solved his puzzles, or whispered about him decades later. He won because he turned murder into mythology, and that myth still lives. Some investigators believe he stopped killing. Others think he changed his identity and continued elsewhere. Some even believe he watched documentaries about himself, smiling, knowing he was still in control. The case remains open. The killer remains a ghost. And somewhere out there, if he's still alive, he knows one thing for certain. We're still talking about him. And that was always the end game. This story isn't just about murder. It's about a man who understood fear and carved his name into history with it.